Hey Stampers, welcome to Brandy's Cards. So I hope you're doing good and I hope that you're staying well. September has been a little rough here in the Cox household. We've had everything from stomach bugs to colds to allergies, you name it. I feel like we've passed it around us all. But everybody's healthy now and back in school and hoping that we've had our share this fall. And you know, as you know, the holiday catalog has gone live and I haven't had the opportunity up until now to really dive in there because we've been kind of under the weather. But I'm so excited. I've done my order and I've got my goodies and I'm so excited to start sharing some holiday Christmas cards with you. So the holiday catalog did go live, as you know, on September 5th of 2018, and it's good through January 2nd of 2019. There's so many beautiful projects in here, so make sure you use your book as an idea and inspiration book as well. So many beautiful cards and tags and ideas in there. Now, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you need a catalog, please feel free to reach out to me at brandyscards.com. And if you've made a purchase with me in the past, all of my customers should have their holiday catalog right now. But if you don't, that's okay. Just reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to get one out to you, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and have a look at the stamp set that we're going to use today. It's actually, let's see, it's on page 20. It's on page 22 of the holiday catalog, right there. It's called Peaceful Poinsettia. Now, it's a beautiful stamp set, very easy to work with. I love the poinsettia, love the berries and the leaves. I just thought it was really pretty. Of course, you've got the nice sentiments to go with it. So it's just a real simple set to work with. Now you can purchase this with the framelits, and if you purchase them together, then you get a 10% discount. So you can see the bundle is here off to the right, and you've got your detailed poinsettia thinlit dies, and they're kind of featured there below. Now this big piece that we're working with right here, the poinsettia, that's what we're going to work with today. Now that one does have a die cut in here, so you can just stamp it, color it, and then cut it out with your Big Shot if you have these thinlits. So it's perfect. It works great. So anyway, that's the stamp set that we're going to work with today. And I'm going to go ahead and just put my holiday catalog aside and let's have a look at our card. So here is our card, Christmas Wishes. And as you can see, I colored my poinsettia with my real red Stampin' blends. And then I colored my leaves. We used our embossing folder. And then when you open it up, it says, "May the season be filled with peace." And it just a fun way to kind of decorate and accent the inside. And really all we've done is stamp our sentiment on the inside, and then of course we've layered some different colors of cardstock that coordinate with the front of the card. So I just thought that was a really nice touch. You certainly don't have to do that, but it was a nice touch. So now here we go. What do you need to make this card? So I have Mossy Meadow, I have Real Red and Whisper White, and all of the sizes and the dimensions will be on brandyscards.com, so you're not going to get those here in the video today. However, if you go over to brandyscards.com, you should be able to click on blog, and there you're going to see the Peaceful Poinsettia post. Now, if you don't see it, that's okay. Just go to the search bar and type in there Peaceful Poinsettia or Poinsettia, and this card should pop up for you, okay? And if all else fails, send me an email and I'll be more than happy to email you the link so that you too can recreate this card, all right? So let's go ahead and get started. I really enjoyed making this card, and I think it's because I love my Stampin' blends, and this card was perfect for my Stampin' blends. So I folded my white cardstock in half. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Mossy Meadow rectangle, and if you have not used the corrugated embossing folder, it is fantastic, amazing. Quite honestly, I think one of my most favorite embossing folders. I did have a crimper and I enjoyed my crimper, but this guy rocks. He is super, super cool. And so I love this. It just makes a really nice, deep impression. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stick my Mossy Meadow cardstock in here. And we're going to close our embossing folder. Now this embossing folder was my host code for anybody who placed a qualifying order that used the host code in September. So I'm hoping that everybody has received their embossing folder and that you are enjoying it, as well as the tag that was attached. I made that specially for you, and I'm hoping that you take it off and use it for one of your gifts this holiday season, and maybe recreate it as well. So that was specially made for you. All right, so here you go. Have a look at this. This is just such beautiful texture. I love this embossing folder for sure. Now what I did, just to kind of add a little bit of extra something, what I did is I took the Old Olive Stampin' Blend, and I thought, you know, this is such a neat and deep impression, but I wanted it a little bit deeper. So what I did is I took my Stampin' Blend, my dark Old Olive, and I just went straight down each of the grooves. Really simple, really easy. And what it does is it kind of, the lighter ones at the top, you can really, it just all really makes it look deeper and it stands out. It's really a nice touch. And again, super easy with these, you know, with these deep grooves. Just very gently with your Stampin' Blend, just kind of go through and really gently just kind of glide through those grooves, and it works perfect. Now, if you want it a little darker, you could certainly go back down them a second time and just kind of make your way through. And so, you know, it'll go a little bit darker, but not too dark, but it does add a really nice, just a really nice look to your Mossy Meadow cardstock. All right, so we've got about 3 more. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. Perfect. Okay, so that's it for my base piece here. So now what we're going to do is I've got some liquid adhesive. I'm just going to add this guy to my card base. And you know, when you put this corrugated embossing piece down, you want to make sure that you kind of go back and forth over those grooves so that you get some, you know, glue on the, you don't want it to get necessarily in the grooves, because then it's not going to adhere to your card base. So you want to make sure and kind of go all over so you get some good coverage. All right, so I'm adding this just to the top of my card, centering it on my card base, and that looks perfect. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to set this guy aside for just a second, and let's stamp our poinsettia. Because we're using Stampin' Blends today, we need to use mementos. That is what you use to color with. I'm sorry, you stamp the mementos black so that you can color with the blends. And that's when you want to use these 2 pieces together. So we have our Memento ink, and we're going to stamp our poinsettia. Give it a nice good stamp, and it turned out beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. This stamp never fails me. I just love it. It's absolutely beautiful. So now I did stamp a second one. I stamped a first one, I guess, earlier, and I like to let them dry for just a few minutes. So for time's sake, I do have one that I stamped earlier, and I'm going to color that one for you today. So we're going to use our Real Red Stampin' Blends. These can be found along with the Shaded Spruce in the holiday catalog. Okay, and good news for placing a qualifying order and using the host code this month in October, I'm going to send you the combo pack of our Real Red Stampin' Blends. And so those will be coming to my customers who place an order in October and use the host code. If you can't find the host code, it will be in the information in this video. And you can also find it on brandyscards.com. So you'll see it there as well. All right, so let's go ahead here. That's our dark, so we want our light. So once we have the light, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of once over really easily and gently my poinsettia leaves, just like that. And I'm just gonna color them all in just really quickly. And yes, I am going outside the lines, and that's okay. And the reason that I'm doing that is because we're actually going to use a framelit to cut those out. You know, so being outside the lines is not going to matter one bit. So you just got to keep that in mind. It's totally okay. Now you don't want to get outside the lines and go into your leaves and stuff with your real red marker, but you can certainly, get out of the lines in this scenario for your poinsettia. Now I have the dark real red, and I'm just going to kind of come along the lines here and just make my way along the lines of the poinsettia here in the leaves. Now you can add color, lots of different ways. But I just really liked it along, if I just followed these lines in the poinsettia leaves, that was just a nice way to add some color. Now I also want to add some color here on the tips of my leaves, and then here around the center, right around the center of the poinsettia. You see that? All right, so I think we have plenty of dark red on there. Now let's take our light red Stampin' blend, and we're just going to do some swirls. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blend that dark red into the leaf, into the light red, and just kind of some light swirls on it, and it'll blend it nicely so that you've kind of got that two-toned, that nice two-tone look. And so just kind of work your way through here and see how that kind of starts to blend. Looks really, really pretty when you really work it together and you kind of blend out those harsh lines is what you're hoping to do. I was also excited about offering the Real Red Stampin' blends because if you have not used them before, this is the perfect opportunity to get a pack for free and give them a try. These Stampin' blends are addicting. Once you start using them, I promise you'll love them. I just have enjoyed them so much that I could continue to color all the time, but they're just really, really nice. Now I'm going to go back in with my dark red and just sort of hit these lines a little bit more. See that? Just to kind of make them, some pieces, just a little darker. You certainly don't have to, but again, it's just kind of that layer of depth. And that's why I'm going to send you both of those markers so you can kind of learn to color and shade. All right, so let's grab the light red and let's just kind of blend just a wee bit more. Not too much more. I think we're doing pretty good, really. But we'll just kind of touch it up in some places that might need it. And I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our color lifter. So this is one marker that I do recommend if you're using the blends. And the reason that I like it is because it actually lifts the color back up. That's right. So if you didn't really like your blending, or maybe you wanted it to be a little bit more blended, or you want to lift some of that color up, this is what you do. So do you see in some of these places where it's kind of lighter? Well, I'm going to accent that a little bit and just kind of use my color lifter and just kind of go along these little spots. And by, lifting the color up a little bit, it does add a little bit more dimension to your flower. Makes it look a little more real, right? And that's what we're going for with our Stampin' blends. And so you just kind of have to go back and forth on it. The good thing is it doesn't ruin your marker at all. So that's a good thing. And you can do this with lots of the colors, with any of the colors really. Another nice thing about the color lifter is if you make a mistake, you can go back in and kind of color next to where on top of the mistake, and it sometimes will lift the color to where you're good to go. So that's always a nice thing. All right, now I have the Old Olive Stampin' blends, and I'm going to take the light Old Olive, and I'm going to just color all of my leaves real quick. And just a once over is all I'm doing right now for my Old Olive for my leaves. Just giving them a good once color. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back in and add some darker shades to them. And we're just going to do that with the Old Olive Stampin' blend. So let's see here. Perfect. Now we're going to grab the darker Old Olive, and we're just going to do the exact same thing with the flower. We're going to come in here and just along these lines is what I'm going to focus on, is just the lines of the leaf. And then that's going to give me the opportunity to go back in and do some blending. And I'll just blend that really nicely together. So don't be worried about these harsh lines right now. I promise you, we're gonna work all that out. I promise, I promise. There we go. Okay, so now let's take our our light old olive, and we're gonna go back in and do that shading that we had done earlier. Just kind of shading over the top of it and working that dark color into the light. Just really, really, just easy. See that? See how nice that kind of gets shaded in there? So now here in this scenario, you could certainly take your color lifter if you wanted some lighter areas, and you can absolutely go in with your color lifter and, you know, do some intentional color lifting, if you will. Sometimes I just go back with the old olive and just color right back on top of some of these lines. And it just adds a little bit more depth. But you know, you just got to play with it. That's the fun thing about the Stampin' blends, is there's no right or wrong. You just have to get in there and dive in and start playing with it. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the Smoky Slate light marker. Now you could certainly color your berries red. You know, you could do lots of different things with them. But you know, in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, their example used the Smoky Slate, and I really liked that. So I'm going to use the light Smoky Slate today, and I'm just adding a little dot of gray, if you will, or Smoky Slate in here. I'm not coloring the whole berry, just a little dot. Then I'm going to go back with my color lifter, and I'm going to blend that in and lift some of that color up. So what it does is it sort of lightens the gray, but it also sort of blends the harsh line from the gray. Because remember, I just sort of just touched it really briefly. I didn't really color it, if you will. So see that? That just kind of blends it all in nicely. Oh my goodness, I love it. Love it. Okay, so now we're all done with our shading and our coloring. So what I did then is I used my detail poinsettia die, and I cut this guy out. So I did that earlier, and so for time's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the one that I've already cut out for you. So let's start putting this together. So here we go. I have some of our white ribbon, and I'm just going to tie a nice little bow here on the side. Now you can do this however you would like. I did use some twine on one of my cards, which I thought was beautiful, and it was very earthy, and I really liked that. But I also really like the white on there too. So I think just kind of check your ribbon stash and see what you have and what you like on there. Okay, so I'm just going to tie a bow, a decorative bow right here in the right hand side. Sometimes it's easier just to tie the bow wherever the bow ends up and then sort of shimmy it over to where it needs to go. So, and that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm just going to kind of shimmy it over just a wee bit. Now my bow is a little out of control there, so I'm going to sort of kind of tidy it up a little bit. All right, and then we're going to trim it. You always want to give them a haircut just so it looks a little bit more finished and a bit neater. And I always like to trim my ribbon on an angle too. I always think that looks really nice. Okay, so now I've got a couple pieces of Whisper White cardstock here, and I've cut them to these smaller rectangles. And so the top one I'm going to stamp with Christmas wishes, and I've already got my memento stamp pad here, so we're just going to go ahead and use that to stamp our Christmas wishes. So you just want to make sure and get it inked up really well. I'm going to line it up right here at the bottom and stamp it straight down and straight up, and that worked great. So while we have our memento stamp pad out and we're doing our stamping, let's go ahead and stamp the inside sentiment for the inside of our card. So I have it right here. I'm just going to ink it up with my memento, and let's see. Sometimes I stamp it upside down, so I always have to make sure that I have it right. May this season be. All right, this is perfect. So I'm just going to stamp that right there. Oh, that looks great. Super good. Super, super good. All right, so we're going to set that one back aside. I'm going to close my memento stamp pad. And now I'm going to go back to my Christmas wishes. So what I did, and I'll show you when we're finished here a couple of different ways, but this is what I liked the best. I actually added Stampin' Dimensionals right behind this piece, which is the one that I stamped the Christmas wishes on. I liked it better, kind of popped up, and it sort of, the bottom piece seemed to have matted a little bit better. It kind of gave it a little bit more dimension. So I really liked that. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I put my Stampin' Dimensionals, and then I have a bigger piece, a bigger white piece, which is going to mat the top piece. And I'm just kind of sticking that down just like that. Perfect. Now we're going to flip that piece over, and we're going to add Stampin' Dimensionals behind this one as well. Now, can you glue it down? Absolutely. You can go ahead and adhere it with glue to your top of your card base. But I liked it with the Stampin' Dimensionals, but it's entirely up to you. Okay? There is no right or wrong way whatsoever. So now what I'm going to do is just add my top piece kind of over here towards the left. I sort of want about an inch on the right hand side. So the key here is just make sure that your card, that this rectangle is flush, or it's in line, not necessarily flush, but that it's straight with your corrugated cardstock. Otherwise it can look a little wonky, okay? So just make sure it's straight. Now I have my poinsettia. You can do a couple of different things. You can use adhesive, liquid adhesive here on the poinsettia, or you can use mini glue dots like I'm going to do today. I'm going to put 2 or 3 of them on here, and I'm just going to use that to hold my poinsettia down. Now you can also put a couple small mini Stampin' Dimensionals behind the leaves if you wanted to, but I found that the leaves kind of already are kind of poked up, and they're kind of on their own anyway, so it works out well. Now to finish this card off, I have my Take Your Pick tool, which this guy is super cool. I had no idea how cool it was until I got my hands on one. And I actually would use the tips of my scissors, which worked good as well, but this is really nice, very handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my rhinestones with my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put 3 jewel rhinestones right here in the center. Now you can color those yellow. You could use the artisan pearls and put pearls in there, or you could put pearls in the center. So there's lots of things that you can do. So just get creative with it and have some fun. Play with it until you figure out what you like the best. Now let's go ahead and finish off the inside, and your card will be done for today. So here we go. We've got our Whisper White piece. I always find it easier to kind of layer from the smallest to the largest if you can. So I've got my smaller piece, which is the Whisper White piece. I'm going to center it right here inside the Real Red. And then the Real Red is going to go right on top of the Mossy Meadow. And this is my inside. Now you could certainly stamp a poinsettia on this piece if you wanted to. Now you'd want to do that before you glued it down, but you could color it and have a beautiful poinsettia here in the corner if you wanted to. So that's an idea as well. Now I'm going to add my Mossy Meadow piece. This piece is going to go inside my card. So we're just going to open it up and put it right here on the inside. Now you're probably wondering why I did a big piece that covers the whole inside of the card. Well, the reason that I did that is because I didn't really want to have a white mat around the Mossy Meadow. I really wanted it to look really tailored and finished, and I felt like the white mat and then this piece being white might not look right. So that's why I did the whole background is the Mossy Meadow, and then the Real Red layer, and then the Whisper White. I really thought it kind of really drew your eye into the sentiment there. Okay, so that is our peaceful poinsettia card for you today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you give it a try. One thing I'm going to show you here real quick. This was a card that I made earlier, and I used the twine, so this linen thread, which I thought was just fun and so pretty. It's actually in the holiday catalog. And here are the artisan pearls, so I did that with this one. Now with this poinsettia, I colored like 2 or 3 of them, and as you can see here, I actually hand cut these guys out. That's why there's a little bit of a white space around them. I really didn't mind that, and I loved how it kind of brought it to life and made it look a little bit more 3D. So I cut different layers of the poinsettia out and just stuck it right on the top. Can you see that? So that's kind of fun. Just another thing that you can do. You could certainly do the same thing with the leaves if you wanted to. So that is an option as well. All right, so again, thank you for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed my project today. And if you are interested in placing an order, and if you use my October host code, I'm going to send you some real red Stampin' blends. And I know that you're going to enjoy them. I absolutely love them. And if you haven't used them before, then this is a great way to give them a try and take them for a test drive, I guess, if you will. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. I sure do appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.